All right, we got a new hot spicy DLC drop from Total War 3 Kingdoms in Fates Divided. Now this is set in 200 CE, right before the Battle of Guandu between Cao and Yuan Shao. So this is going to be a really exciting DLC because I think a lot of people have been wanting this for a long time. We're going to go through the trailer. I'm going to hopefully pronounce all the names properly. I did a lot of homework ahead of time and try to pronounce them as well as I can. So if I did mispronounce anything, I do really apologize. I tried to put as much respect into those names as possible. So let's go through this trailer together. I'm going to be bringing the volume down pretty low on it. We'll be pausing at certain points and talking about stuff here and there, but mainly just kind of looking at specific characters. So let's get started with this trailer. Now we're just going to kind of, like I said, move forward with things. The first character that's going to pop up here is going to be a large character in the overarching narrative of this, and that is Zhang He. And that one is pretty much going to play a big role between Yuan Shao, which we see right here, and Cao. These two characters, obviously between Yuan Shao and with Cao, they are at opposite ends of the board here, right? And Zhang He, we can see, is already kind of just getting dismissed, like, be gone, I have my chess to play. And this is right after the Battle of Xiapi, Xiapi. And I apologize, I know I mispronounced that one. But we have Lu Bu on the ground, and we have Cao here, who is about to dish out punishment to Lu Bu. And Cao originally actually did not want to do anything. He just wanted to not kill Lu Bu. But as we progress a little bit forward, you can see the snarky look as he looks over, and boom, we have Liu Bei. And Liu Bei actually is who convinces Cao to kill Lu Bu. Lu Bu kind of originally approaches him and says, hey, why don't you release my bonds a little bit here, right? And Cao's like, you're a tiger. We have to keep you under strong restraint. And Lu Bu essentially was saying, well, hey, I've already submitted to you. I've already said, I will be on your side. What's the point of all this? And Liu Bei, who pretty much convinces him, like, listen, Lu Bu's just going to double cross you again. And if you don't deal with him now, you'll have to deal with him later when he's on the other side of the battlefield. And Cao kills Lu Bu. As we kind of push forward here, you'll see that. And a hard cut doesn't actually show it, but Lu Bu is kind of resigned in that, and doesn't really, it didn't really come off as Lu Bu's character in the romance. And we still see these characters again; they're at odds. Zhang He here is like, I'm not really liking what's going on here. And we see Guandu as he's ripping and tearing through the opposition. And watch this little beard stroke coming on. Well, bam! Little homage to the actual show. And as we push forward too, we see more of Cao and Guandu. Moving a little bit forward, we come to the battlefield. We see let's pause right there. Let's go back just a little bit. So we see three characters here, right? We see Cao here in the very front, and then on the far right, we see Yujin, and then right behind Cao, we see his second cousin, Cao Ren. And these three are on the opposite ends of the battlefield too. Let's go a little bit forward. We see big Yuan Shao. And now there are two other characters in the background here, and I have the benefit of the asset kit that Creative Assembly sent myself and some of the other content creators. So I know who they are just by looking at the art. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm going to mispronounce their names right now, and I apologize, but we're looking at Wen Chuao on the far right here, and then right behind him it looks like it is Yan Liang, and I know I mispronounced that. I think it's like a Yen Liang, and those two gentlemen are flanking Yuan Shao right here. As we move forward though, we see bam! Little reveal as Zhang He kind of steps out from behind him, showing that he has switched sides. And that kind of sets the stage for the DLC in Fates Divided. Fates Divided. So this is, again, a DLC that a lot of people have wanted for a long time. And it's exciting to see this brought into Three Kingdoms. We're going to go through the FAQ, and then we're going to go through the Steam Powered page to talk a little bit more about this. But there's a lot of fun stuff to go through here, so let's go ahead and jump over. But before we do that, I want to quickly pivot over to my Nexus store page. If you do plan on picking up Total War 3 Kingdoms Fates Divided. You can head on over to my Nexus page. You'll find a link to that in the description. You'll scroll down and you'll be able to see it right here. Right now it's not active. They had to bring it down for just a little bit, but if you patiently wait, it should be up within the next couple hours or so. So if you would like to support the channel, this helps me out a ton because you will get a direct Steam key from Creative Assembly itself. They negotiate the Steam keys themselves and just hand it over to you, and then I get a percentage of that, and that really helps me out a ton. Let's move over here to the FAQ, and we can go over some of the stuff that is included in Fates Divided. So going over this part, here's our kind of like brief overview. The tumultuous 200 CE start date, a new cross-generational faction playable in 190 CE, 194 CE, and 200 CE. Over 20 new units, including formidable Northern Army units, unique missions, and narrative events, additional mechanics added to your favorite factions, and a new systems and mechanics to improve overall gameplay. And like I was saying, this battle, the Battle of Guandu, is really important because in history, Cao Cao ends up beating Yuan Shao, and because of that, it allows him to create the kingdom, right, of Cao Wei, and that goes on for his son to control it, and so on and so forth. So this is kind of that pivotal point between the two factions, and whoever comes out on top is going to be able to unite everything. Well, or for the most part, rule most of it. Uniting is a loose term here. But as we go down here, we see it as a chapter pack. When will it be released? It's the 11th of March, 2021. Is there a pre-order discount? There is a 10% pre-order discount, which will be reflected on Nexus in case you were worrying about that. And it takes place, as we all know, in 200 CE. Now, here's the big thing that a lot of people want, of course, is who are the playable lords in Fates Divided. So we have one new cross-generational faction. And that is Liu Yan, which is playable in 190 CE and 194, and his son, Liu Zhang, which is in 200 CE. And then the following original warlords have new starting positions in 200 CE. And these will all be dependent upon what you have DLC-wise. So if it has 1 asterisk, it's for those who have the Yellow Turban Rebellion. 2 asterisks is for Mandate of Heaven. 3 is for A World Betrayed. And then 4 is for the Furious Wild. So if you have these DLCs, you can then expect different starting positions for those characters that are involved in them. Of course, because these characters are the center points of those DLCs. Sun Tzu here is the only one that really is, like, I mean, obviously these 3 came with a Furious Wild. Sun Tzu was in his own was with the base game. So he had a new start position in A World Betrayed, and we get that reflected here in the 200 CE start point. So what is the aim of the Fates Divided DLC? For the Fates Divided DLC, we wanted to put players at a point where their favorite factions are well established in a period in which tensions are running high. As well as managing the jostling powers surrounding the territories, players will need to pay close attention to their own territories to make sure they're kept in check. So again, this is a little bit more of a further progression from the original start date of the game. You have a lot more of established factions. People have kind of rallied to the respective sides that they're going to be in the Grand War. That is the War for 3 Kingdoms. And so this is a larger kind of tipping point, like I've said earlier. So there will be new units as well. The Northern Army has a whole bunch of new units. All these new units, players will be able to recruit units from the Northern Army. The Northern Army will pledge themselves to either Cao Cao or Yuan Shao when their faction leader reaches rank 7. This will give them 5 Northern Colonels who can be assigned to characters to access the Northern Army units. And there's Northern Army units across all of the different types, right? Earth, water, metal, so on and so forth. Will there be any free content with Fates Divided, which is always a big one? Fates Divided will bring with it a substantial cohort of additions and improvements to Total War 3 Kingdoms, all to be outlined fully in the coming weeks, and will be provided in the form of an update to the game regardless of whether the DLC has been purchased or not. In brief, the 1.7 update will introduce reworked faction mechanics to Cao Cao and to Yuan Shao, factions, as well as bringing in new mechanics and improvements to old systems, such as a new faction council system, expanded faction ranks, and imperial intrigue. This update will also fix a number of other issues in the game. So you will also need to start a new save because of a new game because of the update, so be mindful of that as well. But that is really it for Fates Divided. Here's the Steam powered page. We can just quickly look over this. There's nothing really crazy or new here. this is not a massive DLC, right? Like when we kind of look at some of the other DLCs we've seen in the past, we see a much different presentation. We see a whole bunch of new units, all these things. So this, as you can see, is the new faction council. So things have had a little bit different of a touch this time over, and I'm actually kind of excited for this. I haven't played Three Kingdoms in a considerable amount of time. I've been kind of wrapped up in some other games, and I've been thinking recently, like, man, I really kind of want to play Three Kingdoms. And then, wha-bam, we get a new DLC coming out. So I think I will be doing some Three Kingdoms content. I'll at least be updating my guides with some of the newer mechanics that have been added or changed in the game. So if you are still really heavily into Three Kingdoms, I'm definitely going to do a playthrough as Zhang He, so as basically as Yuan, since Yuan has access to Zhang He, and that probably isn't a start. You probably have to do something, well, to start for him, yeah, at least, but for Cao Cao, you probably have to do something that would put Zhang He back in, or put Zhang He into your army. So I'm excited to play around and dabble with Fates Divided, because again, I haven't played Three Kingdoms in a considerable amount of time, and this will be a fun, exciting time to jump into it. And if you guys have any questions, or if there's anything you want to talk about, please by all means go ahead, let me know in the comment section below. I apologize for any mispronunciations of just the word mispronounce, let alone of any of these names. I try to do my homework as best as possible, and unfortunately I am not a native speaker, so I can tend to butcher them a little bit. So again, I do apologize one more time. But as always, thank you so much for watching here today. Don't forget to check out that Nexus store if you would like to pre-purchase through there. It does help me out a ton. But as always, have a good one and take care.